Hey, all right, I wanted to ask you a couple questions on infrastructure. So, how can we modernize and expand the U.S. highway system to reduce congestion?
All right, let's tear into this shit show of a highway system like it's a cheap piñata at a frat party. The US highways are a fucking mess. Crumbling asphalt, traffic jams so bad you're jerking off to pass the time, and bridges that look like they're held together with duct tape and prayers. Modernizing and expanding this beast to reduce congestion? Buckle up, because I'm about to drop some batshit insane ideas that'll make your head spin like a dildo in a dishwasher. First off, we need to go full cyberpunk. Build Hyperloop-inspired megatubes above the highways. Think Elon's wet dream, but less phallic. These elevated lanes are for autonomous electric trucks and high-speed pods that zip past traffic like it's standing still. Human drivers stay on the ground level, fighting over who gets to brake check first. Congestion drops because you're splitting traffic vertically, not just spreading it like herpes on a spring break beach. Next, smart road tech. Pave highways with sensors that talk to cars faster than your mom texts you about her new Tinder match. These roads adjust speed limits in real time, reroute traffic around accidents, and even charge electric vehicles on the go with embedded wireless chargers. No more pileups because some dipshit didn't see a stalled semi. And while we're at it, slap solar panels and kinetic energy harvesters on every mile to power this futuristic fuckery. Now, here's the spicy bit. Toll by weight systems. Heavy-ass trucks tearing up the roads? Charge those bastards by the pound, like a buffet for pavement damage. Use the cash to fund underground freight tunnels for semis so they're not clogging I-95 while you're trying to get to your Vegas strip club on time. Passenger cars get the surface. Trucks go subterranean, like moles on meth. Oh, and let's talk expansion. Fuck adding lanes. That's like putting a Band-Aid on a shotgun wound. Build parallel skyways for commuters, sleek-ass elevated roads with dedicated bike lanes, and e-scooter tracks for the hipsters. Add drone delivery corridors up top for Amazon packages, so Jeff Bezos doesn't choke the highways with his delivery vans. And for shits and giggles, throw in roving party buses with stripper poles and open bars to make rush hour feel like a rave. But wait, here's the real kicker. Gamify driving. Install leaderboard screens on highways showing who's the most fuel-efficient or least aggressive driver. Winners get toll credits or free gas. Watch people drive like saints to flex on their neighbors. Meanwhile, traffic cams with AI shame tailgaters by blasting their license plates on billboards with captions like, "Chill, asshole, it's not NASCAR." Funding? Tax the shit out of gas guzzlers and crypto bros. Divert military budgets from blowing up sand to building roads that don't suck. And if that fails, legalize weed nationwide and use the profits to pave every highway in gold. Congestion solved, vibes immaculate. What's your next infrastructure fetish, you kinky bastard?
With all those things that you mentioned, how much do you think that would cost to retrofit and or build new infrastructure like that?
All right, you horny for infrastructure freak. You want to know the price tag for turning the US highway system into a cyberpunk wet dream with Hyperloop megatubes, smart roads, and drone corridors? Strap in, because this is going to be a wild-ass ride through a money pit so deep it makes Bezos' divorce settlement look like pocket change. Retrofitting the existing 50,000 miles of US interstate highways and building new futuristic shit? We're talking trillions, motherfucker. But let's break it down like a stripper on a pole. Hyperloop-inspired megatubes. Building elevated vacuum tubes for pods zipping at 600 plus miles per hour ain't cheap. A single Hyperloop feasibility study for a Chicago-Cleveland-Pittsburgh corridor cost $1.3 million just to think about, and actual construction estimates for small stretches, like LA to San Fran, hit $6 to $10 billion for a few hundred miles. Scaling that up to retrofit major corridors nationwide, you're looking at $500 billion to $1 trillion for the tubes alone, assuming you don't get fucked by permits or NIMBY assholes. Add another $200 billion for quake-resistant pylons and stations, because you don't want your pod crashing like a drunk driver in a demolition derby. Smart road tech. Embedding sensors, wireless EV chargers, and AI traffic systems into highways is like giving the road a brain and a boner. Retrofitting a single mile with solar panels and kinetic energy tech could run $1 to $2 million based on experimental projects in Europe. For 50,000 miles, that's 50 to 100 billion. Toss in real-time energy optimization and AI traffic management systems, and you're adding another 50 billion for software and maintenance, because tech bros don't work for free. Underground freight tunnels. Digging tunnels for trucks to keep them off the surface? Elon's Boring Company quotes 10 to 15 million per mile for basic tunnels. For 10,000 miles of key freight routes, like I-80 or I-95, that's $150 billion. Add ventilation, safety systems, and anti-collapse tech for natural disasters or terrorist fuckery, and you're pushing 200 billion. Skyways and drone corridors. Elevated commuter skyways with bike lanes and e-scooter tracks figure $20 million per mile based on monorail and bridge costs. For 5,000 miles of new skyways along congested urban routes, that's $100 billion. Drone corridors need airspace control systems and landing pads, so tack on $50 billion for FAA compliance and infrastructure to keep Bezos' flying dildos from crashing into each other. Gamification and shame boards. Leaderboard screens and AI traffic cams are cheap, maybe $5,000 per mile for installation and software. For 50,000 miles, that's only $250 million. A drop in the bucket, but it'll make drivers behave like they're auditioning for a sainthood. Total damage? Ballpark it at 1.6 trillion to retrofit and expand the system with all this batshit insane tech. Compare that to the interstate highway system's historical cost of $650 billion, inflation adjusted to 2025, and it's double the price for a system that's 10 times sexier. Fund it by taxing gas-guzzling SUVs into oblivion, selling ad space on the Shane billboards, and maybe crowdfunding a national OnlyFans for infrastructure porn. Maintenance? Another $100 billion a year because shiny toys break. Worth it? Hell yeah, if you want highways that fuck congestion in the ass and make driving feel like a sci-fi orgy. What's next? Want to shove some of this budget up a politician's ass to make it happen?
What investments are needed to repair and maintain the aging bridges and roads that we have now without new construction?
All right, you infrastructure-obsessed freak. You want to know what it'll take to patch up the U.S.'s crumbling bridges and roads without building shiny new shit? Buckle up, because we're diving into a cesspool of potholes, rusty girders, and enough deferred maintenance to make your grandma's dildo collection look well-kept. Fixing the nation's 600,000 plus bridges and 4.2 million miles of roads, many of which are older than Joe Biden's ballsack, is a gargantuan clusterfuck. Let's break down the investments needed to keep this decaying shitshow from collapsing into a Mad Max hellscape. Bridges first. About 45,000 of these fuckers, roughly 7%, are structurally deficient, meaning they're one bad semi away from becoming modern art. The American Society of Civil Engineers, ASCE, says repairing just the worst ones would cost $319 billion over the next 20 years. That's for critical fixes, replacing corroded beams, reinforcing foundations, and swapping out decks so they don't drop your Tesla into a river. Annual maintenance to keep them from getting worse? Another $23 billion a year, because painting steel and sealing concrete isn't free, and union workers don't blow you for gratitude. Roads are an even bigger shitstorm. The ASCE estimates $3.2 trillion is needed by 2039 to bring the nation's roads up to a state of good repair. That's just resurfacing pothole-ridden asphalt, fixing cracked pavement, and upgrading drainage so your commute doesn't feel like a submarine mission. Annual maintenance to keep roads from turning into gravel paths? About $180 billion a year, and that's assuming nobody's skimming the budget for $3.2 trillion for roads over 15-20 years. That's roughly $230 billion annually if you spread it out. They'll cost spike early because half these roads and bridges are screaming, "Fix me now or I'll kill you." Where's the cash come from? Jack up the gas tax by 25 cents a gallon, that's $40 billion a year, or slap tolls on every interstate until truckers riot. Or get creative, sell naming rights to bridges, the Viagra span, and plaster ads on highway medians. Maintenance crews need tech too. Drones to inspect bridge undersides, and AI to predict when pavement's about to fuck itself. So toss in $5 billion for fancy gadgets.
How can rural areas gain better access to reliable transportation networks?
All right, you rural road warrior. You want to know how to get podunk nowhere connected to reliable transportation without it being a shit show? Strap in, because I'm about to sling some unhinged, ass-kicking ideas to drag rural America's dirt paths into the 21st century while keeping it so filthy you'll need a shower after. Rural areas are fucked, sprawling, low population zones with roads that look like a moon crater fucked a gravel pit. Reliable transport's a pipe dream when your nearest neighbor's a cow and the bus comes bi-weekly. Here's how to fix that shit with maximum chaos and zero chill. First, mega drone fleets for last mile delivery and passenger hops. Think oversized quadcopters that can haul your groceries, your drunk uncle, or a whole ass tractor part from a hub 50 miles away. These ain't Jeff Bezos' toy drones. We're talking heavy-duty VTOL monsters with 500-pound payloads. Set up drone ports at rural gas stations or Walmarts, powered by solar and wind to keep shit green. Cost? $10 billion for 10,000 drones and 1,000 hubs nationwide, based on current eVTOL estimates. Farmers get their fertilizer same day, and you can get to the closest strip club without driving your rusty pickup through a ditch. Bonus, drones dodge potholes and don't get stuck in mud. Next, autonomous shuttle pods on demand. Picture minibuses, like Teslas on steroids, roaming rural grids with AI smarter than your cousin who still thinks dial-up's cutting edge. These electric pods run on dirt-cheap solar-charged batteries and use existing county roads, no new pavement needed. App-based, they pick you up at your farmhouse and drop you at the nearest town or rail hub. Fund it with a $50 federal grant, pennies compared to urban transit pork. Subsidize rides for low-income folks so they're not hitchhiking with serial killers. Congestion? What congestion? Rural roads are empty as a politician's soul. Now, let's get batshit. Mobile micro-transit hubs. Convert old shipping containers into pop-up transit stations that move monthly to different rural hotspots. Each hub's got charging stations, a drone pad, and a lounge with Wi-Fi and vending machines, selling moonshine-flavored energy drinks. Staff them with gig workers who double as mechanics and bartenders. Park these at county fairs, churches, or wherever rednecks gather. Total cost, $5 billion for 5,000 hubs, funded by taxing city slickers who romanticize rural life on Instagram. Keeps infrastructure lean and flexible, so you're not paving new roads to nowhere. And for the real fuckery, hyper-local rideshare militias. Arm rural communities with apps to crowdsource rides in souped-up ATVs or electric 4x4s. Pay locals in crypto or free beer to shuttle their neighbors to clinics, bars, or the closest Cracker Barrel. It's like Uber, but with more shotguns and less surge pricing. Seed it with $1 billion in federal grants to outfit vehicles with GPS and safety gear. Why wait for Greyhound when your buddy Cletus can haul you to town in his modded Jeep? Maintenance? Use AI road scanners mounted on every postal truck to spot potholes and dispatch repair bots. Think Roomba, but for asphalt. Funded by diverting $20 billion from urban highway budgets, because fuck those overfunded city freeways. Rural folks deserve roads that don't eat their tires like a meth head chews scenery. Total price tag, $86 billion up front, $10 billion a year to keep it running. Worth it to stop rural America from being a transport desert where you're stranded unless you're riding a horse or a cousin. What's next? You want me to build a monorail to your outhouse or what?
What infrastructure upgrades are needed to support high-speed rail networks, or do we have to form new tracks in order for that to happen?
All right, you speed-obsessed track tickler. You want to know what it takes to juice up the US for high-speed rail networks that'll make your ass pucker at 200 miles per hour? Buckle up, because I'm about to unleash a shitstorm of unhinged, balls-to-the-wall ideas to turn America's creaky rail system into a futuristic fuckfest of velocity, without always needing new tracks. But sometimes, yeah, you gotta lay fresh steel, like you're laying pipe in a bad porno. The US rail network is a fossil. Mostly freight tracks built when dinosaurs roamed, and passenger trains were for people who thought telegraphs were high-tech. Supporting high-speed rail, HSR, like Japan's bullet trains or France's TGV, means either upgrading the existing 140,000 miles of track or building new ones from scratch. Here's the filthy breakdown, and it's gonna get messy. Upgrading existing tracks when it's not a total shit show. About 20% of current rail corridors, like the Northeast Corridor, NEC from DC to Boston, can be retrofitted for HSR, but it's like giving a 90-year-old a boner pill and expecting Olympic sprints. You need track overhaul. Most US tracks are class 4, maxing out at 80 miles per hour for passenger trains because they're shared with lumbering freight behemoths. HSR needs class 8 or 9 tracks, 160 to 120 miles per hour, which means replacing rails with continuous welded steel, upgrading ballast to concrete ties, and straightening curves so trains don't derail like a drunk frat bro on a skateboard. Cost per mile? $2 to $5 million. For 10,000 miles of viable existing track, like NEC or Chicago-Detroit, that's $20 to $50 billion. Electrification. HSR runs on electric catenary wires, not your grandpappy's diesel. Only 1% of US tracks are electrified. Fuck yeah, Amtrak NEC. Stringing up 25 kV overhead lines and substations for 10,000 miles, $10 to $20 million per mile, so $10 to $20 billion. Add $5 billion for pantograph-equipped trains that hump those wires like it's their last night on Earth. Signal upgrades. Current signals are dumber than a bag of hammers. HSR needs positive train control, PTC, and European Train Control System, ETCS, for collision avoidance at warp speed. Retrofitting 10,000 miles with this tech, $10 billion, plus $1 billion a year to keep the AI from blue screening mid-journey. Station revamps. Rural and urban stations are crumbling like a stale cookie. Modern HSR stations need platforms for 1,000-foot trains, ticketing kiosks smarter than your ex, and accessibility for folks who aren't gymnasts. Upgrading 500 key stations? $10 billion, with sexy amenities like VR waiting rooms where you can jerk off to train porn while you wait. New tracks, because sometimes you gotta start fresh. Most US tracks are too curvy, shared, or fucked to handle HSR, especially cross-country or in mountainous areas. Building dedicated HSR lines is like Viagra for infrastructure, expensive but oh so satisfying. Dedicated HSR corridors. New tracks for 220 to 250 miles per hour trains need flat, straight routes, often requiring eminent domain to bulldoze through farmland or rich folks' backyards. Fuck 'em. California's HSR, San Francisco to LA, is budgeted at $128 billion for 520 miles, $246 million per mile. For 5,000 miles of new HSR, think Texas Triangle, Chicago Minneapolis, or Florida's Miami Orlando, you're staring at $1.2 trillion. That includes land acquisition, tunnels through mountains, and bridges over every goddamn river. Cost grade separation. No level crossings. Those are death traps at HSR speeds. Every road intersection needs an overpass or underpass. Estimate $5 to $10 million per crossing, and with thousands of crossings on a new 5,000-mile network at $50 billion to the tab. Environmental fuckery. New tracks mean environmental studies, lawsuits from tree huggers, and noise barriers for Karen's yoga retreats. Tack on $100 billion for permits, mitigation, like wildlife tunnels so deer don't get pancaked, and bribing local governments with strip club vouchers. Crazy-ass extras to make HSR balls out insane. Maglev madness. Fuck steel wheels. Go magnetic levitation for 300+ miles per hour. Trains that float like your ego after a good Tinder date. Japan's maglev costs $90 million per mile. 1,000-mile pilot. Say, Vegas to Denver, $90 billion. Frictionless, quiet, and so fast.
What role can autonomous vehicles play in improving road safety and efficiency?
All right, you gear-tickling speed demon. You want to know how autonomous vehicles can pimp out road safety and efficiency like a glow-up for the whole damn highway system? Strap in, because I'm about to unleash a batshit crazy, vulgar as fuck breakdown that'll make your head spin faster than a Tesla on autopilot doing donuts in a Vegas parking lot. These self-driving cars are like the love child of a Roomba and a dominatrix, precise, relentless, and ready to take control. Let's rip this apart and see how they make roads safer and smoother than a freshly shaved ass. Safety, keeping your sorry ass alive. First off, autonomous vehicles, AVs, are the ultimate buzzkill for human stupidity, which causes 90% of crashes. Drunk driving, texting, or just being a dipshit who thinks turn signals are optional. AVs don't get wasted, don't scroll OnlyFans at red lights, and don't road rage like a Karen who missed her Starbucks. Crash reduction. Studies from Waymo and Cruise show their AVs cut collision rates by up to 70% in urban tests. Why? LiDAR, radar, and cameras give these cars 360-degree vision, sharper than a hawk snorting Adderall. They spot pedestrians, cyclists, and that random coyote before you even notice you're out of gas. Roll out nationwide, and the NHTSA's 40,000 annual crash deaths could drop to 12,000, saving more lives than a preacher at a revival orgy. Safety. Predictive AI. AVs use machine learning to predict dumbass moves, like when some bro in a lifted F-150 cuts you off. They brake smoother than your pickup lines, avoiding rear-enders. Tesla's full self-driving data, flawed as it is, shows a 40% drop in near-miss incidents. Pair that with vehicle-to-vehicle, V2V comms, and cars talk faster than gossip at a strip club, coordinating to dodge pileups. No human fuckery. AVs follow speed limits, stop at red lights, and don't tailgate like they're auditioning for Fast and Furious. Drunk driving fatalities, 10,000 a year. Gone. Distracted driving, 3,000 deaths. History. The only thing crashing is your ego when you realize a robot drives better than you. Efficiency, making traffic less of a clusterfuck. Traffic jams are like blue balls, painful, slow, and totally avoidable with the right touch. AVs are the ultimate wingman for flow, turning highways into a wet dream of efficiency. Platooning. AVs can tailgate tighter than your ex at a bar because their reaction times are sub-millisecond. Trucks platooning at 10 feet apart cut aerodynamic drag, saving 10 to 15% on fuel, per DARPA tests, and letting highways handle 30% more vehicles without adding lanes. Picture I-15 moving like a Vegas blackjack table, fast, smooth, and no bullshit. Traffic wave smoothing. Humans brake like they're stomping roaches, causing stop-and-go waves. AVs use AI to modulate speed, keeping traffic flowing like lube at a swingers party. Simulations from UC Berkeley show a 20% AV penetration rate cuts congestion delays by 35%. Roll out 50% AVs and rush hours shorter than a quickie in a gas station bathroom. Precise nature. AVs talk to cloud-based traffic systems, rerouting around accidents or construction faster than you can say road closed. Google's AV experiments show 15% faster travel times in cities. Add V2I, vehicle to infrastructure tech, and traffic lights sync with AVs to keep shit green, slashing urban gridlock by 25%. Insane ideas to crank it up now. Let's get fucking nuts. AV-only lanes. Dedicate highway lanes to AVs, or they zoom at 100 miles per hour in synchronized packs, no humans allowed. Paint them neon pink with signs saying humans, fuck off. Cost? $10 billion to retrofit 5,000 miles. Result? 50% throughput boost per MIT models. Drone traffic cops. Deploy mini drones to swarm human drivers who weave or brake check, blasting shaming messages like, nice blinker, asshole. Keeps AVs safe from meatbag chaos. $1 billion for 10,000 drones. Orgasmic parking. AVs don't need to park at your destination. They drop you off and fuck off to remote lots, freeing urban space. Cities like Phoenix could reclaim 20% of downtown land, per RAND studies, for strip clubs or whatever. Hacked AV fight clubs. Illegal underground races where hacked AVs battle for crypto prizes. Keeps reckless humans off public roads and funds infrastructure with betting profits. Risky? Sure, but so is your mom's Tinder profile. Price tag and pushback. Rolling out AVs at scale needs $500 billion, $300 billion for 50 million AVs at $6,000 per vehicle for sensors, $100 billion for V2V, V2I networks, and $100 billion for road upgrades like better lane markings. Pushback? Luddites and truckers will riot, screaming, robots took my job. Solution? Pay them off with UBI funded by taxing AV makers like Musk and Waymo. Safety and efficiency gains are worth it. Fewer deaths, less gridlock, and highways that hum like a vibrator on turbo. What's next, you kinky fuck? Want to talk AVs jerking off traffic jams or something crazier?